My name is Matthew. I just got back from 2 semesters studying at Canterbury Christ Church University in Canterbury, England. It was the best decision of my life, probably. I already love traveling, so this was kind of an easy decision for me. It was stressful at times, but so very, very rewarding. So I'm going to kind of explain a bit what life was like for me in a whole new country, having never left the US before, and what it was like to study there for an academic year. Okay, so if you're thinking of applying to Christ Church, just know it can be a bit chaotic at times. There's a lot of forms you need to fill out, there's a lot of stuff you gotta kind of complete, a lot of emails you need to send. So one of the first things you'll do is apply to the study abroad program itself. And I think the deadline for that is sometime in February, if you're studying for the fall semester. But once you're accepted, then you can begin, the actual application process. You'll need to apply to Christ Church, then you'll need to apply for your visa. But before all that, you'll need to apply for your passport if you don't have one already, like I did. It mentions the CAS. That's basically the document that the UK government will accept that confirms that you've been accepted to, Christ Church, and that will be the very key component of getting your visa. So after that, you'll actually apply for your visa, and it depends on whether you're studying for just a semester or a year. If it's a semester, it's a bit cheaper. It's not too tedious to apply to. But if you're applying for a year like I did, you'll need to get a totally different visa called the Tier 4 student visa. That's several $100s to apply for, and it can take a few weeks for it to to approve, because you'll need to send your passport to the consulate in New York so that they can put your entry sticker on it. But once that's all said and done, you can begin picking out your classes. Now the cool thing about Christ Church, and one of the reasons why I wanted to study there, was because you can pick out your classes before you actually leave. The only catch with that, though, is that you can expect some long wait times for the university over there to communicate with Texas State, and a lot of the courses they have may not count towards your degree. So you'll really need to fill out that list where you list out like what courses you think will count towards your degree, and you'll probably need to fill out multiple of those. And the last thing, you definitely want to apply for scholarships, because even though you're paying tuition to Texas State, you'll be paying for room and board to the university there. And I would say the room and board prices there are a bit more expensive than the dorms here on campus. Like I stayed in the least expensive one I could, which was called the Parham Road student accommodations. It was a bit more expensive than some of the maybe new traditional style dorms here on campus, and the 2 other options are a bit more expensive than that. So day 1. So once you've got all your classes picked out, you're good to go, the time has come, you've bought your tickets, and you're finally gonna begin your UK adventure. So it's going to be, I promise you, one of the most stressful parts of studying abroad. That's just kind of how it is. You'll be on an 8-hour-long transatlantic flight. You'll almost definitely be landing in London. You'll be going through customs, and the line for that can be kind of long, and you'll need to make sure you have all your documents ready to show the border agent. But yeah, once you're through that, then you're just basically taking a train or a bus to Canterbury, which isn't too bad. Depending on which airport you fly into, you'll be taking probably the southeastern train from somewhere in London to Canterbury, and it has 2 train stations there, so there's a bit of wiggle room there. And then once you're finally in Canterbury, after I'd say maybe 1 to 2 hour long train ride, you'll be checking into your accommodations. That's probably the easiest part. You just go to the reception, say checking in, and then they'll point you to your room. And then after that, you breathe a sigh of relief. You're done with one of the most stressful parts of studying abroad. So life in the UK. It's a bit different from life in the US. Their cultures are a bit different and similar in some important ways. Like, they have I'd say maybe different kind of like camaraderie, I'd say, like, system of friendships. Like, they're a lot more closer. There's this thing called lad culture there. Like, if you're a male student, you'll be expected. It's kind of like how masculinity is here, like, being tough and going out with your friends and loyalty and all that. But it's good, it's good. A lot of the people there are really loyal friends, and I think you'll probably meet some really interesting people while you're there, including other international students even. British English is probably the thing you'll struggle with the most once you get there. They pronounce things a bit differently, obviously. Some of their words are a bit different, like instead of college they say university or uni. Instead of a pharmacy, they'll say a chemist. Instead of the trunk of your car, they'll say the boot of your car, and so on. But yeah, that's probably just the most stressful part of being in the UK, just adapting to that. But once you got that down, then it's fairly easy from there. So your new home. Canterbury is a lot like San Marcos in some pretty important ways. It's about the same, or actually a little bit bigger of a population, but just as many students, I'd say, and basically everything you could ever need is in walking distance from you. Like my accommodations, it was a 15-minute walk from the university. It had a bus stop like right in front of it that could take me to the city center. And it was literally right next to an Asda, which is their equivalent of Walmart. So yeah, I did a lot of walking there. Got my legs really toned from all the walking. It was really good. But if you do need to take the bus fares are a little bit more expensive than you might be used to, but they'll get you to basically anywhere in Kent, which is basically the county where Canterbury is. Where is it? Oh, I don't think I included it. But yeah, this is what Canterbury looks like. As you'll see here, a lot of the campus is right over here, kind of towards the east side of town, right across from the cathedral, which is a very beautiful cathedral, by the way. I highly recommend anyone visiting Canterbury go see it. My accommodations were, it's hard to see, it's way over that way, kind of off the map, but still not too far away from the city. Like, this kind of makes it a little bit bigger than it actually is. And the other accommodations you'll have access to are over here, kind of behind the library over here. That's called St. George's. They're more kind of like suite style apartments, sort of like San Marcos Hall is here. And sort of the same thing with Petra's Court over here. I forget exactly where it is. It's kind of like over here near the train tracks. Same sort of thing, bigger rooms, nicer rooms, but more expensive. The weather in that part of Britain can get kind of gloomy at times. Like for me, it never really got above 50 degrees or 60 degrees most of the year I was there. It's cloudy a lot, it's kind of drizzly, but still it's nice. It never gets like really uncomfortably cold, like to the point where you need like a parka or something. And it never gets like blisteringly hot like it is here. Like I never saw a day where it got above like 80 or even 75. Like that's probably the warmest it'll ever get during your time there. So the campus itself, it's called Canterbury Christ Church University. It was founded back, I think, in the 1960s, and it started off kind of like Texas State did. It was originally more geared towards teachers, but it's since then has expanded its catalog of degrees. It's in walking distance from basically all the major parts of the city. The library is kind of close by. It's sort of off the main part of the campus, but it's only like, I want to say maybe 5-10 minutes away. So it has lots of campus organizations. They call them societies. I was in one that kind of celebrated it was called the Retro Club. So basically, like, it celebrated, retro music, retro dress styles, things like that. And you can even set up your own while you're there if you'd like, sort of like how you can here at Texas State. The scheduling in classes are way different from what you'll see here at Texas State. For some classes, you can meet maybe twice in the same day, but in different rooms, which may be kind of confusing at first. I know it was for me. The workload is a lot different too, so it's less homework intensive. Like, I don't think you'll have any like online homework systems. You will have a bit more of essays though, and those will be weighted a bit more heavily. So for I think people in political science classes, they should sort of be familiar with this already because their classes are writing intensive. My classes were definitely writing intensive. But yeah, basically less homework, more projects. And the study abroad coordinator for North American students, that includes, Americans, Canadians, and people from Mexico. His name is Kieran, and he's really nice. You'll be corresponding with him basically all the time throughout this process, even before you get to the UK, because he's going to help you pick out your classes. He was really nice. He was really fun to work with. He answered all my questions, even though I know I got annoying with them at times. And yeah, he's a really good guy, so you'll probably be working with him a lot. So this is what the campus, or the main part of the campus itself looks like. The campus has a student union, which is basically their equivalent of George's, like what we have here, or the LBJ Student Center. It's sort of kind of off this way, kind of off the map, but it's also within walking distance. It's near Petro's Court, like I mentioned earlier. So yeah, it's kind of like in this area right here. But yeah, these are basically almost all of the academic buildings on the campus. This is like the main building. Like there's a cafe somewhere in here, or actually a cafeteria and then also a cafe. I used to go there to study a lot because I liked the natural light and the coffee was really good. But yeah, all of the buildings are broken up by sort of what classes they teach for the most part, sort of like how it is here. Old Sessions, that's on the same road as the, what is it, sort of the rec center, sort of like what we have here. You'll notice that some of the important buildings are kind of not on the main campus, unlike here, like the library, all of that are in the same place basically. The library, the rec center, accommodations, they're all in different parts of Canterbury. And finally, coping. Like I said before, it's going to be really stressful at first, kind of getting used to culture shock and the language differences, and the fact that you don't really know anybody. But there will almost definitely be other American students studying with you, because Christ Church partners with a whole bunch of different other universities in the U.S. Like I met a guy from Illinois State University up in Illinois. He was pretty cool. So yeah, you won't have to deal with it alone. There will be other American students, and then you'll also be interacting with other, international students, like from Europe. The main countries that international students came from there were France, Spain, and Germany for the most part. But you'll also see people from maybe parts of Asia, like Japan or Vietnam, or maybe Italy, the Netherlands, places like that. Yeah, and you'll also almost definitely experience homesickness at some point. The thing I'd recommend for that is just staying in regular contact with your families. FaceTime them, download WhatsApp. That app saved my life while I was there because I could text my American, friends and family, as well as, people in Britain and any other international student friends I made, just all in one app, and it's free to use. So yeah. But yeah, other ways you can deal with it are by actually leaving your accommodations for a bit. I stayed inside for a couple days when I first got there because I was so stressed out. just go explore the city. Everything's really close. There's the cathedral, like I said. There's the Roman Museum towards the center of town, where you'll kind of like go underground and see like an original Roman like path from 2,000 years ago. There's just so much history in the city. It's incredible. Like you'll walk probably by a building that was built maybe in the 1500s even. The cathedral itself was built, I believe, in the 12th century. That's like their main tourist attraction there. St. Augustine's Cathedral is also a big tourist destination. And the High Street, which is basically the UK's equivalent of a main street, it's lined with all of these shops, like clothing stores. There's even a McDonald's on the one in Canterbury even, and it's pedestrianized, meaning that there are few cars traveling up that way. So like you can walk around there, go from shop to shop without worrying about getting run over by a crazy driver. So yeah, that's basically my experience with studying in the United Kingdom. I know it's a lot of work at first, and a lot of stress, and a lot of maybe even tears at times, but I promise it's all worth it. You're gonna make some really like lifelong friends there. I talk to basically all the friends I made there to this day, just because they're just such good friends. I keep in contact with them. But yeah, that's basically all there is to it. I really hope you'll consider studying abroad generally, but also at Christ Church, because it's a really unforgettable experience.